Call, Captain Dubois returns. Call, Captain Dubois returns to the cockpit. Call, Captain Dubois returns to the cockpit.
Qu'est-ce qui se passe là? Qu'est-ce que vous foutez? Mais qu'est-ce qui se passe? Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Je sais pas ce qui se passe. Le contrôle de l'avion. On a totalement perdu le contrôle de l'avion. On comprend rien. On a tout tenté.
When the captain comes back into the cockpit, the aircraft is beyond, it's topped out, it's stalled, and it's now descending with its nose very high. Very little forward speed, but it's got a huge rate of descent.
The Airbus A330 is now plunging towards the ocean at 10,000 feet a minute.
On n'a pas une seule indication valide.
On this moonless night, the pilots have no idea they're just 3 minutes from crashing into the sea.
And of course, they wouldn't have been able to see the surface of the sea or the surface of the Earth at all because it was too dark.
There's still time to pull out of the stall, but the pilots mistakenly believe the plane is traveling too fast.
The noise, the aerodynamic noise, you know when you're in an aeroplane you can hear the air rushing past the fuselage, but it's a completely different noise, much louder than the noises you normally hear. And they misinterpreted this as the aircraft overspeeding when exactly the opposite was true. It's just total pilot misinterpretation. It was pilot panic, really.
The crew has now just seconds to push the aircraft's nose down and try to recover from the stall. But Bonnier is still pulling back on the stick, which neither of the other pilots can see from where they're sitting.
What they needed to do, because the airplane was so deeply stalled, was to dramatically push the stick forward, because there was nothing wrong with the airplane at all. Not a soul, not a dicky bird wrong with the airplane.
Non, tu montes là. Je monte là? Ok, alors on descend. Tu montes? Merde, c'est pas possible.
The stall warning alarm has rung 58 times. Now it cuts out.
And the computer stopped telling the pilots that the aircraft was stalled because it had gone into realms that the computer just didn't recognize.
The crew and passengers of Air France 447 now have less than a minute to live. The plane reaches the point of no return, 10,000 feet above the sea.
Ça y est, on va arriver au niveau 100 là.
They're flying through, they saw flight level 100, which is 10,000 feet. I think that was a point where we went from, we have some time to figure this thing out, to like, we might not be able to save us ourselves.
How would it have been for the passengers, do you think?
Well, I hope is that most of them were asleep. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, but I think an awful lot of them wouldn't have been. And some of them who were would have been woken up. And when they were woken up, they would have heard this very unfamiliar noise. The airplane would have been juddering and buffeting, and they would have known something was very, very wrong. The passengers, I'm not sure what they would have made of it.
Doesn't bear thinking about.
I have wondered, but I don't think you can even guess.
Remonte. Je cabre à fond là depuis tout à l'heure.
Captain Dubois suddenly realizes what Bonnier has been doing all along, pulling back on the stick, pushing the aircraft's nose up and stalling it.
Non, ne remonte pas, non. Alors descends. Alors donne-moi les commandes, à moi les commandes. Vas-y, fais les commandes. Attention, tu cabres là. Je cabre. Il faudrait là, on est à 4000 pieds. Tu cabres là.
The aircraft passes through 2,000 feet. Its ground proximity warning system detects the ocean below, and its alarm rings out.
Allez, tire. Allez, passe? 10 degrés d'assiette?
They knew, all three pilots knew they were about to die because they could see that they'd completely run out of height. And the last couple of seconds, they'd just given up.
The recording ends at 14 minutes and 28 seconds past 2 a.m.
You worked hard to cross that finish line. Now it's time to celebrate those memories. At Michael's, we